I'm Patrick Bailey with iQlist.com. Today is January 30th, 2020, and in this video I'll be going over where do you get 3D prints to print out on your Prusa Mini. Okay, first a word of warning, because most of the reason I do the driving factor behind why I do iQlist.com on YouTube is to help homeschoolers and convince them to get 3D printers as part of their education. And as part of that, we're talking about young children. And if you have young kids, you know you got to protect your kids on the internet. There are some bad players out there. And when it comes to finding things to 3D print, it's the internet. There's no difference there. So a lot of them don't have safe searches and things like that. So there are things, a lot of them take a more libertarian approach to things, which I'm not against, but also they might not be quite as safe. So there's a lot of good stuff on the place I'm going to show you. But you might want to do some hand-holding if you have young kids on there, because they could go on there and they can find some 3D prints that might be inappropriate, or you might deem inappropriate for your family. So just a little word of warning for people out there. Right now, what is typically done is you take a 3D file, and a 3D file has nothing to do with the instructions to actually 3D print. The 3D file is just a 3D image. And right now, the most popular 3D file format is called an STL file. Now, there is a push to change that and start using something else. We'll see how that goes. Prusa is especially pushing this because STL files do have a potential issue, which I'm not going to go over here. Most of the STL files you should find out there right now are probably going to be fine. But there can be some issues. I've experienced issues. Maybe someday I'll do a video, and I have done videos where I have run into the issue. And so he's trying to push 3MF files, which remove a lot of the issues. I think they remove, well, I don't think 3MF files have issues, but I don't know. I need to do some research. But anyway, right now the vast majority of files you're going to find are STL files. They're three-dimensional files that you have to take and put into a slicer, and then you change some settings, and then what you end up with is you create G-code. G-code is what the 3D printers speak. And G-code basically, actually used to code in G-code 20 some odd years ago. G-code is used in the CNC industry. So if you have computer numerically controlled machines, and so rather than going, and this is like from a programmer's perspective, rather than go through the complexity of saying, okay, I need this machine to go from here to here, and that requires me to turn this motor 100 times. So rather than saying, turn the motor 100 times, I say, you're at position XYZ. I need you to get to this position XYZ. And so here's this bit of code. Go there. Boom, boom. And then it figures out what to do. So the machine knows what to do when you give it that piece of G code. So it says, oh, go over here. I'll go over here. So that's the basic process. You take a three-dimensional file, you slice it. The sliced file becomes G code. You put the G code on the thumb drive. The thumb drive, you connect it to your Prusa and you print it. That's the methodology right now. Now in the future, I think there's going to be some changes. You know, the Prusa Mini has more computational power, so there's going to be some, and it's got an Ethernet port, so there's going to be some more opportunities, easy opportunities to do web browser interfaces where you could push things out there. There are things out there right now like Octoprint and things, but it gets complex. So it's not something you do as a beginner. But I think as a beginner, if it's 2022, there might be some new options that help you to print things out more easily. But anyway, right now, you got to do some prep work. So the couple of 3 different places I use right now. Here is I don't want to say the granddaddy, but probably the granddaddy of them all is Thingiverse.com. Thingiverse.com has a ton of things. You can go in here and start searching through things, or something I like to do is explore. You can go here, click on explore, click on things, and it's kind of fun. Here are the latest things that just got uploaded 54 seconds ago. And there's a lot of things in here that are meaningless and useless you don't really care about. But sometimes I like to go through here and just kind of look around. They're just interesting things that people post. And if part of Thingiverse is you want to go make an account, because now that you have an account, you can go find things and you can go like them. So here I'll go take this sombrero earrings and I'll like it. And then now that I've logged in, I've liked it, now I can more easily remember that. So I can go up here and go to myself and say things I've liked. And hopefully that sombrero hat will, well, maybe show up. Probably takes a second. it's thinking. And so you can collect things that you like there. So now that you find something, what you're going to do is you're going to go download it. So I lost my sombrero hat. Where's my sombrero hat? There we go. So I can click on here, and hopefully it's got an STL file. Not that it has to have an STL file. They could load up a 3MF file, but typically it should be an STL file. Let me right-click on Open This, because Thingiverse can be a little slow at times. Other interesting things in Thingiverse is people have their own channels. Like I have my own channel. So you can go to iQless Designs, and here's all my designs. You can go see the designs I've done and download them. You can do your own designs and share them. There's some other people who are more famous 3D printers than me by a long shot. Like the Maker's Muse. I think this is his page. I could be wrong about that, but I know this is Joel Talling's site. He's the 3D printing nerd, and so you can go see things that he's posted. So a lot of cool things down here. Oh, here's the STL file. So now, well, here's the description. They talk about what it is. I can go click on here. I can click on Thing View if I want to, which is a little nice way where I have a three-dimensional view so I can look at it real quick, which is kind of nice. Then I can go to Thing Files, see what they've done. And in this case, you can see there's a .stl file. I can go download it. I'm not going to download this one right now. But there's the idea. Tons of things. This one probably has the most things of all, is Thingiverse. Another website, if you're a Prusa Mini, is prusaprinters.org. Prusa is trying to set up their own kind of thing. So in similar fashion, you can have your own account. You can have, oh, there we go. Here's my account. Here's my things. And I'll put links to this in the show note. And you can go click on things that I've seen. You can like people. You can follow people. You can search for things. There's a lot less here, though. One interesting thing he is trying to do, though, is not only can you upload your STL files or your image files, your 3D image files, you can also upload your G-code. And G-code should be specific to whatever machine you're using, so it makes sense that it's not on Thingiverse. But in Prusa, he's only got so many Prusa printers. So I can go in here. Well, let me show one of mine as an example. So here, I've been trying to follow this. Not that everyone has to, but if I go click on Platform 9 3/4 that I made recently, and I go look at my files, there is my STL files. There's also an SCAD file, which I won't get into this video. But also here's a G-code file I made that you can download and run. And it will tell you how long it runs, and also, what machine it's made for. So 5 hours, 0.2, 0.4, it's PLA. It gives you a lot of information. And also other people can make their own G-code files and put remixes on here and post them too. So I see a future where people could prepare G-code files that people trust, and then you don't have to slice them. You can just download the G-code file directly there and print it. In fact, I could see a future where I could maybe have a website locally, some kind of tool running locally that I can say, hey, go to Prusa, grab this G-code, put it on there, and just start printing. I can see that coming. And I can see that's a really interesting thing that Prusa does. Another place that I've recently gone to a lot is MyMiniFactory. And this is there's a lot of things out here. There's a lot of designs out here. This is where I did the Wonder Woman thing. I found that and printed that. A lot of people put stuff up here in order to sell. So there's some things like I just, if I go to this guy's, David Oistman, I believe. If I go to him, you can see all his designs. So a lot of his designs are free, but there's some that are paid for. So I wanted to contribute to him without quite being a Patreon. So I went to one of his designs, and I think it's right here. Oh, no, that's another design. There's another cool design I found that I printed out. And I paid $4. So I went in there, paid $4, just to kind of give the guy a tip. But had I not paid that $4, I couldn't have got that image. Now, speaking of, in Thingiverse, you can tip a designer. I had somebody tip me $8 once, which was kind of cool. It makes it really encouraging. People don't typically do that, but on Thingiverse, things aren't locked behind. People just download it, and if they want to give you a tip, they give you a tip. On here, people can lock designs down and expect some payment, which is fair because some people work really hard on these designs. So there is the basics of it. So let me go over next. Let me go over a couple more things next. I'll go over kind of licensing, and then we'll download some things and print them out and see how they do. Okay, licensing. If you look through all of these on Prusa, on Thingiverse, you will see, in fact, let me go to one of mine, see if I got my little guy open. When you post a design, if you put a design up there, you get to choose the license agreement. So anything out there, okay, let me put a caveat. I'm not a lawyer, right? But anything that's out there that's available to download, you're pretty much free to print out, to download, slice it and print it yourself for your own needs and to give it away. But beyond that, you need to see the license on what you need to do with it. So if I want to, for example, I'll use this as an example, platform 9 3/4. Let's go see what license I made. See if I get in trouble with this. Okay, it is a Creative Commons public domain dedication. Okay, so since I made it Creative Commons, anyone can print this. They can do whatever the heck with it they want. They just need to do what's Creative Commons dedication? I think that's the one where they have to say that they... What is it? Let me go click on it. Let me go click. I forget which one it is. No copyright. So basically, you can look. There's different kinds of copyright. And what they say, there's some things I lock down, which means, hey, you're free to print it yourself. But if you turn around and try to sell it on eBay, you're breaking the law. There's a lot of things on eBay right now are people who are 3D printing who are breaking the law because some people may be designing something and they don't want people to, they want to own it or the potential of owning it. So maybe you have a good design that you think is really neat that you want to share with the world and you're okay with people printing it for their own use or printing it for their friends' use, but you're not okay for them turning around and selling it. So you need to go examine what license they use and what it means. So you can't just go, for example, there's a guy who put up some really cool lightsaber swords you can 3D print. And I think they're really neat. I'd have to go look at his license. I don't know what it says. So I printed a bunch of them out and gave them away to people. Not a problem with that. But I'd have to go look at his license if I wanted to print one out and sell it for $2 because it's his. As an example, I ran into that last year, or a couple of years ago. 2 years ago, when I was doing a homeschool conference for the first time. I wanted to print some stuff out. And in that case, I didn't want to get any sticky water. So what I did is there's a little cool 3D printed carabiners that I keep making nowadays. And so what I did is I printed a bunch of them out and I just gave them away. No problem with that. But the people who own that carabiner design, I could not print those out and sell them without negotiating some kind of license agreement with them. Now, I reached out to them afterwards. I thought they were really neat. And I said, hey, can you design my own that I'm free and that I have complete ownership and I can sell and do whatever I want? And they said, sure. In that case, I believe I paid them $200. They did a redesign, gave me the new files, and now I own those files and that design. I'm free to do with what I want with them. So you need to examine those things. But also, you might examine and see people are really excited and anxious to maybe license their design. So if someone did something really neat and you think it's nice and you're like, oh man, I could print a bunch of those out and sell those. Maybe you want to go contact them and say, hey, can I give you, $5 or $10 or 10 cents per or something? Go talk to them. So know what you're doing and be very careful. But most of us, we're just printing for ourselves or we're printing and handing stuff out. And that's not a problem. So, and I have no problem with people protecting their own copyrights. Like I have to go double check, but I've done a couple of designs. And sometimes I just make it public domain. Sometimes I go, you know what? I want to retain my rights to this just in case something comes up. Just all depends. So there's that. So now, having said all that stuff, let's go download something and print it. So what I'm going to do is I'll go to somebody I like. Let me see. Something simple. There we go. Oh, this one I like. My daughter likes this one. So I will open up this one. And on Thingiverse, they number things by things. So this happens to be thing, if you look at the URL, it happens to be thing 261943. And so here, I'll click on the thing file. Hopefully it's STL. And there you go, STL. We got a top and a bottom and a brain. And I'll just hit agree and download, and that will download everything. Come on. Slowly but surely. There we go. Now I've got it. And I've got my little zip file here. So I open up that. And I'll see there's my files in here. And there, I'm not going to do the brain, but I'll do the top and the bottom. And I'll drag those out. So now I have my 2 STL files. Now I'll just open up my Prusa slicer, which is set for the Prusa Mini. And I'll drop the top on and the bottom and the top. And I should have enough space to do both. And then I can just sit here and fiddle with the design and say, okay, where do I want this? Do I want to increase the size or shrink the size? In this case, I'll make it smaller so I can print it quicker. So I will scale it down 50%. And I'll do the same over here so they fit. Boom. And put them near each other. And I don't need to do anything too special on this. 0.2. I'll do speed. Say yes. 20% infill. And I don't need to do anything fancy for this. It's just a test, you know. So I hit slice. It'll prepare the file. Oop. Sorry, I had some of these leftover filament change points. Let me remove those. Okay, so now that's how we're going to print. And if I look at it real quick, I can see, you know, doesn't look too bad. Boom, should print just fine. So now that that's saved, oh, I have to slice it again. Now I export my G-code. I'll put it on my desktop. There's my octo bottom, or I can rename it whatever I want. Oh, it switched over to 0.15, that's why. Okay, let me go 0.2 speed again. Slice it. Export. Boom. And I'm not going to go over in great detail in this video all your choices. You know, you can make smaller layers. You can change all the print settings. That's probably better for another video. I just want to kind of get you started here. So there's that. So now I've got this G-code file over here, which I will put on my thumb drive in a minute and then go print it out. And here's all this G-code. If I go through this, you can see here's commands. This is a G-code. This is telling the machine what to do. Now, I'll do another interesting thing, which I think is the future in some aspect. I'll go over here onto Prusa Printer, and if I go here and I start to explore prints, I can filter based on if people uploaded G-code files. So I go down here and I can click on Mini. So now it's only the minis, and PLA and 0.4, that's the typical head. And I can go over here and say, okay, it should get done in 2 hours or less. Okay, now it's filtered me down to these guys. Here's a turtle. I'll go click on this turtle. And here, if I look at the files for this turtle, I can see there's an STL file. I can go download the STL file and do exactly what we just did. But there's also a G-code file here. And so I can just download this G-code file, show in my folder, and it's just G-code. I'll put it over here. And so now that's that turtle file. The G-code is done. It's already been prepared by someone else for a Prusa Mini. Now I have to trust them, and hopefully they did good design and made good choices, but knowing that they posted it's probably fine. But there's this realm. We're looking to the future. As more and more people come in here, it needs to be simpler and simpler. And so if people can prepare the G-code beforehand, big advantage. So now that I've got both of these, I'm going to go put them on my drive, and I'm going to go print them out and go over the numbers based on those. So one of them we prepared ourselves. The other one, the G-code is already out there, which is kind of a cool future-looking thing where I don't have to do so much prep. I always want, as a geek, I always want the ability to do the prep, to go into every single little detail and get what I want. But also, looking to the future, I do like the idea of, in some cases, even for me, it's just go grab the G-code that somebody made, you knows works, print it out, and it's fine. And that's going to have a mass appeal, I think. So let's go print this out. Okay, so I got these two things printed out. So they turned out pretty well, as expected. Now, here is the little octopus. He's kind of cute. My daughter likes him a lot. He comes in 2 pieces. And then here's the turtle. Now, this is really interesting. It turned out really well. Now, that is someone else's G-code that I didn't have to make. But before I dive into it, I always want to go over the numbers no matter what they are. So let me go pull up my wonderful numbers for these, which are right there. Okay. So they're both pretty similar in time. So the turtle took 57 minutes to print. It took 7/10 of a penny electricity. and it weighs 0.008 kilograms. And at $20 per kilogram, that comes out to 16 cents of material. And so you throw that extra penny in, you get 17 cents to print out this little turtle. Now, this little octopus guy, he took 49 minutes to print. He took 6/10 of a penny electricity, and he weighs 0.008 kilograms, roughly the same, so 16 cents worth of filament at $20 per kilogram. And so that comes out to 17 cents too. So both about the same price and very tiny. So, there's how you print, there's how you pull something down. But, this is going to be more of the future. Now, this file, this turtle, there was the STL file, so I could download it and resize it and do whatever I want. The good thing about the G code, if someone does nice G code, I can just download it, print it, no prep work, easy peasy. And that opens up new possibilities where, as time goes on, I'd imagine a printer 4 or 5 years from now will have Wi-Fi, directly connect to the internet. You'll have some kind of app where you can just push a button, print. The bad thing about the G code is I'm not going to resize it. So, it's one size fits all, and people are always going to want to do different things. But I see where Prusa is going here. There's going to be a lot of convenient things where people can just push a button and print. So I really like this idea of the G code. It worked out. But anyway, just want to go over, I wish I'd done this video a little quicker, but, kind of go over for the new people, where do you go download stuff? How do you prepare the files? How do you get them printed? So hopefully that helps some people out. And as always, put some comments in here. People probably know some other places to go look for files, or where they go look, or have some other suggestions, or even some ideas on where things might be going. So always post some comments. Always appreciated. Hey, if you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, hey, give it a thumbs down. Also, if you like what we're doing here, subscribe to the channel by clicking the subscribe button. And lastly, have a piece of info to share? Just post a comment.